Best thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah.
Get fired, everyone. Those who can't sell, do marketing. Nobody goes to Walmart.com to learn about Sam Walton.
Sam Walton, yeah.
They go to fucking Wikipedia for that.
Right.
That's not going to change anytime soon.
Most dispensary websites fail. He explains why. I'm Jason Reposa. After 25 years scaling tech and cannabis, I host High Functioning to cut through the noise and show what works. Today's guest is Dan Mondello, CEO of Rank Really High. He has built 3 marketing companies and managed almost $1 billion in ad spend. His team helps dispensaries win online without the gimmicks. We cover what founders get wrong, what dispensaries need to succeed, and how ADHD became his unfair advantage. Expect spicy takes with a side of AI and Italian brain rot.
We're telling our story that no one cares about, because no one cares about our stories. They care about our products. They care about what they will help us feel like.
Right.
This is Real Strategy Over Hype. Let's dive in.
Hi, my name is Dan Mondello. I am the CEO and co-founder of Rank Really High. We are an e-commerce first web developer serving cannabis retailers.
E-commerce in cannabis?
I know, it's wild, right? No one does that today.
Well, I more mean that like on the e-commerce platforms that I've seen out there, like no one really is it like e-commerce, or is it more just like a reservation system?
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. It's more of a reservation system. You can't like really order online.
You can't throw your credit card down and be like, hey, and then it get delivered to your door.
No,
of thing, right?
I mean, if you are able to do that, it's probably not actual legal cannabis that you're buying.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, this conversation is going to go in lots of different directions, and I know you said you had ADHD, so you're probably cool with that, right? It's gonna go
I'm not cool with it, but I don't have a choice at this
cool
point.
With ADHD. I'm more mean going off in lots of different topics. Before we get into the e-commerce side and kind of like the websites and SEO and all this other stuff, because I do want to cover that.
Sure.
I think that's going to be super important for the audience, because I think a lot of people are still very confused about SEO and how it applies to cannabis.
Yep.
And I think it's an underutilized tool for a lot of people. I actually have talked to many people, and actually my first podcast with Devin Alexander from Rolling Relief, he
Devin.
literally said, if I was to start over again, I would have started with SEO from the beginning. So that's a testament to the ability of how SEO can change the game for your business.
Yep.
I think he's corrected that sense, of course. Anyways, how does ADHD affect you?
Gosh, I mean, as a kid, it was a freaking nightmare. I couldn't study, I couldn't sleep, I couldn't make friends, I couldn't like do anything right in school. Behavioral issues was a nightmare.
So what you're talking about is, was it like a doctor was like, you have it kind of thing? Or is it self kind of diagnosed?
No, it's definitely been diagnosed by several doctors.
All right. I asked that because some people are like, I've got ADHD, and they're just like they're on Instagram being like, I got ADHD, and this is how I solved it. And it's just probably, did you self-diagose, or was it actually?
It's trendy to have ADHD.
Yeah,
back
so
then,
you're
back
cool
in the back in the 90s, not so trendy, not so cool.
Yeah.
No, I remember very vividly, like when I got my diagnosis, I remember like basically sitting in a chair very much like this one, and like crawling around it while the doctor was asking me questions. Like I could not sit still for the life of me. I still kind of can't, but it's gotten a lot better.
I hope so, because we don't have that much space to crawl.
I know, it's shallow here.
So ADHD from kind of childhood, how did you manage it in the early days?
Oh, I didn't. You know, I went through every type of medicine that was available, and none of them seemed to work properly. They just upped the dose, down the dose. Put me in a special.
Changed medications. I thought there was only one. I was thinking like Adderall.
Adderall, Concerta. There's a zillion of them. There's a zillion of them now.
So, but I think the way, and of course I'm not a doctor, wink to the camera, but isn't Adderall like an amphetamine or something like that?
It is an amphetamine salt, correct? Yeah.
So
I was on meth my entire life, basically.
Wow, that's wild.
Yeah.
So, but like, what's it supposed to do? Just like give you ultra focus kind of thing?
Well, it was actually originally developed as a weight loss drug, if I'm not mistaken, and I can definitely understand that. I've never been able to hold weight my entire life, probably because of it. But no, it stimulates your brain. It's kind of like drinking a shit ton of coffee, or I don't do cocaine, but I've been told that it's very similar. People who do cocaine, people who try Adderall feel like it's the same effect.
Really? And
That's
so you
what
can
I've been
kind of
told.
like,
Yeah.
but from the medical perspective or from pharmacological perspective, it's supposed to make you like at least be able to sit in your chair to focus on whatever's in front of you kind of thing.
Yeah, it kind of like, for me, it kind of slowed down my thinking quite a bit. So like, because like with ADHD, I'm unable to focus on one thing, which is like the real terrible thing about ADHD. But there's another problem with ADHD is this hyper focus that you get into as well, where you shut off the entire world around you and just tunnel vision into one thing.
You got blinders on.
And you don't have control over which is happening at what time. So,
right.
Yeah.
And so, have you ever been in a case where there's been like you were supposed to focus on like your homework, and then you were focused on like something else entirely different?
100%. Like, I'll never forget, like in 4th grade, I had to do this project on Mesopotamia, and I didn't do any of the reading on it. I had no idea what Mesopotamia was. I like opened the book like 4 hours before I was supposed to go to school, and was like, oh, it's like a pyramid or something. I'll just build this. So I just like spent 4 hours building this giant diorama of a pyramid, brought it in, and yeah, I got a B+. I was pretty happy with that.
So you were just like, I think it's about a pyramid, so I'm going to make a pyramid.
That's pretty much what
so
it
you
was,
focused
yeah.
on the building part versus like
Yeah.
actually learning.
I don't know anything about the civilization,
Yeah.
Hammurabi's law. I don't know anything about that, but I know that they had buildings, so I built one.
So when you so your educational experience, did you get off of some of that medication at some point?
In 2016, I decided for myself, like, this is not working. My heart doesn't feel good. My head doesn't feel good. I did without doctor supervision. I just said, you know what? I don't feel good anymore, and I don't want to do this anymore. And it doesn't make me happy. It makes me incredibly irritable because it's a stimulant. You're on meth the entire day long.
And then when you're not, then you're like irritable probably as well, right?
Yeah, you're irritable when you're on it. You're irritable when you're off. And I just
Right.
like, you know what? I want to be happy.
Yeah.
I want to feel good. So I stopped doing it in 2016, and I supplemented some of that with cannabis. I got a medical card, all that stuff. But
Were you in Massachusetts at the time?
Mm-hmm.
Have you been in Massachusetts for a while?
I had a brief stint in Minnesota. I lived in Minnesota for 3 years, other than that, I've been in Massachusetts my whole life.
What? Minnesota?
I know. Yeah, so I started a business in the car industry out here called Dealer Teamwork, and I met some people that had some more experience in Automotive SaaS than I thought I did, and they convinced me to move the company out to Minnesota. So I lived in Minneapolis for 3 years and
Built a company.
Built a really good company that's still in business today, still killing it. Yeah,
That's fantastic.
yeah, it's been good.
So, taking a step back to the education process again. So, like, you're on one of those medications all the way through high school.
Mm-hmm.
You graduate. Did you end up going to college?
Barely. I barely made it into college. Yeah, I went to Fitchburg State.
Fitchburg State. All right.
I'm a Falcon, It was good. It was a good...
Go Falcons.
Go for It was good, man, because, like, honestly, if I had gone to, like, a school that cost a shit ton of money, it would have been a huge waste of time. It would have been... Because I wasn't ready to learn. I
feel
wasn't ready
like
to learn.
Yeah, when you're getting out of high school, like, how many people actually know what they want to do? They kind of apply to a bunch of colleges that they think they might get into, and also maybe also something that they want to do. Unless you're like going into nursing, and then it's like very clear, like, I want to be a nurse, right?
Yeah.
When you get there, if you're not ready, it's a giant waste of money.
I'm still not ready. But here we are, 5 years of college, and I've graduated.
Right, exactly.
Yeah,
There you go.
yeah.
I think it took me 5-6 years technically, because I started at community college.
Yep.
Instead of wasting all the money,
Smart.
it wasn't even that really. It was mostly just like I didn't apply to any colleges
Right.
because I didn't know you had to apply like junior, senior year to get it. Like I didn't know any of that. So, I came from like a low middle class kind of situation. So it was just like, hey, you're going to graduate high school and then you figure out the rest at that
Right,
point.
exactly.
So I eventually went to a community college, then went to WPI. MIT didn't accept me. Not holding a
They're
grudge.
lost, really.
Not holding a grudge. I did not get into MIT. You had to take SAT 2s to get into MIT.
I didn't even know there was a second version
nobody
of
knows.
SAT.
I take 3 separate SAT 2s. They were like math, English, and something else. I can't remember. But I didn't get into MIT, but I got into WPI. I had a wonderful experience there, but I think I officially graduated 2002 because I got caught up in the dot-com stuff.
That happened back
Yeah,
then.
I got recruited, left college, and then when the dot-com bubble crash, I had to go back to college to get my actual degree.
Whoops.
And then nobody hired programmers, literally, at that point.
That's happening again now with AI.
I'm going to get into the AI stuff in a second.
Let's definitely talk about AI.
So the 5 years is totally a reasonable thing, I think, for a lot of people, especially if you don't know exactly what you're going to do. But when did you catch like the startup bug? Was it college? Were you already starting companies in high school because you just didn't know what to do with yourself or your energy?
can I use swear words
Yeah,
on
of
this?
course.
I know what the fuck I was going to do. Like, I remember very vividly, like, I'm about to graduate college after 5 years and, like, taking classes over every winter break and every summer break I took classes because I was always behind. I remember I was, like, 6 months out from graduating. I'm like, I don't know what the hell I'm going to do. So I took a semester off and, like, went to the University of YouTube, taught myself Photoshop, InDesign, HTML, CSS. Like, this is something good. Because originally I went to school for film school. I wanted to go and like make Hollywood movies because I like to watch movies, and I still do. But then I remember the first day of class, everyone was like talking about the project they worked on in high school. I'm like, yeah, I watched like, a
lot of movies.
I watched like, The Rock with Nicolas Cage, and I thought it was pretty sweet.
So you're like, this is film school. So
I was like,
yeah.
I'm not going to fit in here. So I immediately left that. And then, like 6 months before I was about to graduate, I realized I have no skills. I have no idea what I'm going to do. So I took a semester off and just taught myself what I wanted to do. And I've been pretty much doing it ever since. But no, I didn't know I was going to go to college. I didn't know I could get into college. I really had no expectations for what I would do in life.
Yeah, and it's funny. The film thing is actually really funny too, because I remember when I don't know if I had graduated college yet, but there was a book called How to Make a Film for $10,000 or something like that, right? I read that book. I immediately rented AV equipment for like my library or something like that, and I started pretending I was a filmmaker.
Yep.
And I would go around and I convinced some of my friends to be in the movies and stuff like that. And I remember I shot it at a bar once.
Yep.
I was dating a girl that like was a bartender. I was like, hey, I'm going to shoot a film in your bar. She was like, totally cool. Found a spot. And then when I looked at the footage, I'm like, oh, the audio's trash because it's so loud in a bar. You couldn't hear. And I wrote a script and everything. Anyways, little side, that film school thing kind of triggered that memory, but I totally forgot about that past my life. But when you're trying to do all these little things and experimenting and eventually trying to get to where you're going, and eventually you stumble upon like the interwebs basically, right? And you're like, okay, HTML and Photoshop and all this other stuff. Did you start a business from that right away? No. What did you do?
Well, when I was about to graduate, I decided I've always loved cars. I've been car crazy my entire life. Restored cars, built cars, did it in college as well on the side. I've restored Corvettes. I wanted to be an automotive journalist, and I was very in love with that idea. And then I realized as I was graduating, no jobs exist in that field, and the ones that do are way outside of my skill set, and they don't pay shit.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to have a life if I try to pursue this. So I did the next best thing. I applied for a job as a journalist in a technology magazine here in Massachusetts called Tech Target, and I wrote about software engineering, which I also had no fucking idea about for like 2 years.
Seems like a proper journalist at that point.
Yeah.
Don't know what you're talking about, but I'm going to write about it.
Every journalist has no idea what they're talking about.
No, we see that a lot, especially in the cannabis industry. It's funny because you get journalists who don't know anything about cannabis. They're talking about writing about cannabis, and you're like, how did you even come up with this conclusion? Like, it doesn't make any sense.
Politicians have the same problem. Let's just be honest.
Well,
They
yeah,
don't know what
because
they're
there's a
talking about either.
filter. It gets to them, and it's through a lobbyist person's lens.
Yep.
Here's what the real problem is, and the lobbyist whispers in their ear, and they regurgitate it to the rest of the world.
Here's what Pfizer wants me to think about this topic.
Yeah, exactly. You have Pfizer lobbyists behind you being like, here's what you really want to say.
Yeah, exactly.
So, journalism to, but Tech Target, then you were like, I like cars, I'm going to start a website?
No, I went and took another job that I was not qualified to work at, got fired, and honestly, I say this to a lot of people, the best thing that ever happened to me professionally was I got fired. I applied to 2 jobs at this company, and I thought I was interviewing for the one I was qualified for as an account manager or a customer service rep. They were actually applying to I was actually like being interviewed for my stretch job, which was a help desk specialist, and about halfway into this interview, I'm like, I don't think they're like interviewing me for the job I think I'm qualified for. It's the other one. I took it anyways. I like conned my way into this company. Lasted about a month. They fired me. It was devastating. I was like, you know what? Fuck all this noise. I'm going to go back to my original dream, which was writing about cars, and I applied to a job that was doing email newsletters for car dealerships right at the like beginning of social media, people talking about SEO, web. I mean, like I
what
got
year?
in there 2010 or 11.
So 10 or 11.
Something
So
like
you're
that.
out of college. You've gone through a couple of jobs at this point. You get fired.
I got fired. Best thing that ever happened to me.
Yeah.
Get fired, everyone.
No, getting fired is actually you have those kind of come to Jesus moments, because you're just like, I got to really figure this out. And I got criticized harshly on one of my LinkedIn posts because I was trying to be as honest as I could with a former employee, because the employee was blaming everybody else for like not being able to do their job.
Right.
And I was like, at some point you got to take ownership. And so I was trying to emphasize that as like, hey man, if I think there's a really great quote. If I think this was Jimmy Carr on like some podcast, he said, without trying to butcher it, he goes, if you think somebody, how did he say it? If you think somebody destroyed your life, you're right. It's you.
Yeah, exactly.
Like you should have ownership over some point and be like, oh, actually, I can make the decisions to make this change. So for change for the better. So getting fired. I don't think I've been fired from almost every single job I've had. I've been fired. Yeah.
You should be proud of that. It means you don't fit in. You have to figure out your own path.
Fit in.
You couldn't fit in. I can't fit in.
Yeah.
It's good.
Yeah, I got fired from my last job before I started this, actually, because my company got acquired.
Yeah.
I hung out for like 3 months, 6 months, collecting a paycheck, and been like, all right, I'm trying to try to do the best thing, and I see a bigger vision for the project and stuff like that. But they weren't helping either. They were kind of just like
letting you coast.
Yeah, they were letting me coast too, because they weren't like calling me like, hey, let's have a meeting and do all these things and stuff like that, because I was running the company, and then they were running the company as soon as I sold it. And I think you probably have stories around selling companies as well.
Horror stories, really.
But at some point, I got fired from that one as well, because they were just like, well, what is he doing? He was just a drag on our P&L, so like, let's just get this guy out of here. And I was fine with it to a certain extent too, because I was like, I'm not really contributing now, and I didn't feel like I had purpose. And so I started in the cannabis industry myself. But after getting, so journalism, trying to do tech support, all this other stuff, or help desk stuff.
Yep.
Again, I don't get the connection to a SaaS.
It's weird. So fast forward a year or so, I'm working at this newsletter company, and I'm doing email newsletters. And back to the hyper focus thing. If I'm doing something I enjoy, I do it better than fucking anyone can do that thing.
Right.
So I'm like really over servicing my newsletter customers. I'm giving them advice. I'm doing research on the side for them. All the stuff you're told by your bosses not to do. I was doing it, and I just realized they're asking me a lot of questions about social media. They're asking me a lot of questions about SEO. I came up with an idea. I pitched it to the owner of the company I was working at, and they said, that's interesting, but we don't want you to do it because you're nuts. You're this ADHD kid who runs around the hallways
crazily. They knew you.
Oh, they knew me. It's hard to miss me. It's hard to miss me. I usually wear bedazzled jackets and whatnot, but they liked the idea. They didn't like me. And to be honest with you, no hard feelings about that either. I wasn't ready. I needed to get fired for more stuff first. But I later took that idea, and that idea became my first company, Dealer Teamwork. I was working. I decided about halfway into this job, I'm like, these people are asking me all these questions. I'm not making a tremendous amount of money at this newsletter company. Why don't I go and become a car dealer and work on that side? These guys are all wearing Rolexes and stuff.
Yeah.
They clearly are doing something right that I'm not doing.
Right.
So I went and took a job at a car dealership, a big one here in Massachusetts, and I started building software while working there.
So you weren't on the sales side. You weren't like the guy.
Director of marketing.
Marketing.
Yeah. Those who can't sell do marketing.
So you get your you get the inner workings, that knowledge from working at some places. That's a common thing with, especially if you're going into your own startup. Yep. It's always good to have some bit of a foundation beforehand. And so from there, you're obviously growing. You're helping them build software internally.
Yep.
Then you break off.
Car dealerships were calling us from all over the country, asking us who our agency was, what the software we were using was. It was us. So I went to my boss and I said, "Sir," because that's how you address the boss of a major car dealership. I said, "People are calling me every day. I've got this idea. I'd love to go into business with you." And and I again respect this decision of his. He said, "Why would I want to share my secrets with the world?"
Yeah.
And I had some great comebacks to that and some great counteractions to that, but ultimately he was right. So I left about 6 months later and started Dealer Teamwork, and started selling car dealerships all over Massachusetts software that was pretty kick-ass. And that company to this day is still serving on around like 1,800 dealerships nationwide.
1,800.
It might even be more than that. We have OEM relationships of Cadillac, General Motors, Ford, Volkswagen.
What's the software do?
So, all right.
All right, when not this is gonna bore people to death.
No, well, this actually is pretty interesting.
Okay, yeah, because this is super interesting. So, how do you get OEMs to even sign up for something like that?
So,
but like, what is it first? of
Okay,
all?
so when I got into the car space in like 2012, you could Google, what do you drive?
A Tesla.
Okay, let's pick a Grand Cherokee because they don't really have a dealership
Grand Cherokee.
model. Yeah, I saw
Exactly.
it's a nice Tesla.
Yeah.
All right, so people would type in, searching for a car, they type in Grand Cherokee lease, and the ads would say, yes, we have Grand Cherokee. Come here, buy. They were just ridiculous.
Yeah.
They were not informative ads. So what we did was we built these landing pages using remote content on the dealership's website that had incentives applied to them that would pull cars directly out of their inventory and say, lease this Grand Cherokee for $339 a month or $429 with zero down. Save up to this if these qualifications, get this out the door price. Take all of that information and broadcast it through Google advertising, so you get this great SEO presence for the models that you sell. You get this great advertising presence. We connect the whole thing, and it was...
So you'd have landing pages for specific inventory, even.
Correct.
Wow, that's
Correct.
wild.
Yeah, correct. First ones to do it.
Yeah. So those landing pages, if they rank on search, you're gonna get a bunch of people to obviously hit on those landing pages.
To this day, you can probably Google Ultima Lease in pretty much any market in North America, and you will see pages that my company built.
That's wild.
To this day. Yep.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Yep.
So, what time? So you grew that company, I'm assuming, for a bit. Did you have business partners, or was it you kind of in the beginning alone?
It was me and two business partners who I'm still very close with. One of them actually helped me start Rank Really High. He's still with us. He's our CTO. His name's Brennan. He's a badass. Boy genius. We grew that company from nothing to, I don't know, $250,000 a month in revenue. And then I was like, I don't know how to get any bigger. I don't even know what to do. I don't even know if getting bigger is what I should be doing.
Right.
So I met some people who introduced me to some other people and ended up bringing them to the company. And I ended up leaving the company not very terribly long after that because I realized that we were like oil and water. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it was also like, did the culture change actually when you left as well? Was it different in that sense too?
Yeah.
Because
I would say
it was you building this thing.
it was
with
this
co-founders, but
yeah, it was this crazy guy running around, getting everyone pumped up, hyped up, wearing dumb clothes like I still do to this day, and high fives. I mean, it was a lot of fucking fun. I don't know what it's like there today, but it doesn't seem like it's as fun as it was at one point.
So because you needed, and this is I think a common fallacy, or not even a fallacy. This is a common path for a lot of people who you're like, I don't know how to grow this thing. I'm stuck at the $250K a month. And it's great, but it's also just like, do I want to be bigger and all these other things? And you're like, I got to bring in a professional to figure this out.
Yep.
You bring in the professional who doesn't really know much more than you, but
No.
they present themselves in a way that they potentially can.
Presented himself incredibly well. He did grow the company a little bit. Like he knew he knew more than I did. He knew more people than I did because he had been in
networking and all
that
this sort of stuff. I think that's kind of where a lot of that happens is through networking, right? It's just like, oh, I know this guy, blah blah blah. Like we utilize that. Networking is huge for us, and
So
that's why even when I had like Angela Bradway onto the podcast and stuff like that, we were talking about like networking is so big, especially in this industry, that more doors just get open to you because your name gets brought up in different conversations as you kind of go around. And so to become that professional expert in kind of like a field, you kind of have to network at some point, right?
It's how you and I know each other.
100%.
It's probably through Angela Bradway. Probably is.
I don't remember how we first met, but it could have been through Matthew also.
Could have been through Matthew. Andy Westerkamp also told me you're one of the people I should speak to as well.
Yeah, Andy's cool. Andy's cool.
Yeah.
But I remember the first call we got on, and this is my ADHD brain, self-diagnosed, but I'm not.
No, you're good. No. Honorary ADHD.
Well, no, I don't. But that is a thing that it's like, for lack of a better word, almost like a spectrum in my head where it's just like, you clearly are bouncing in the chair.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah, definitely.
That's not the extreme that I have, but like I do, there is definitely like that hyper focus and all this other stuff, and then being able to and then everything's just confusing and all, like I gotta like, where do I go from here? Like there's definitely lots of hints of that in my brain right now. But I remember the first time we jumped on a call, and it was through Matthew, I think, who brought us together in this particular call because we were talking about doing websites and stuff like that. And you probably hated me. Because I was like, WordPress is the devil. Because I was so against it.
You were against it.
I've built 100 plus,
Yep.
500 at this point, WordPress websites in my life. I was just like, anything but WordPress. I just don't want to manage it. It's a nightmare. It's so spaghetti code everywhere because it's built in PHP and blah, blah, blah. And I'm a computer scientist.
I know that. Yep.
So for me, from my perspective, I was always like, WordPress is great for people who don't know fucking code. WordPress, if you want to have a marketing website, go do some WordPress.
Right.
Leave me out of it.
100%.
How did you leave that meeting? You were like, this dude's a fucking dick.
I don't think I called you a fucking dick. I mean, listen, like your opinion of WordPress is not uncommon. Like most software engineers are like PHP. Pfft.
Yeah.
But the reality is, and the reason why listen, our entire software system is completely portable. It's all written in Node.js and all the most modern languages.
All the I totally
React.
get it. Yeah, because you're a plugin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, essentially
To a
that's
certain
what it is.
extent,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's exactly what it is. The reality is if we built some custom CMS or plugged into Sanity or something that nobody in the fucking planet knows how to use, it'd be fast. It'd have all these great features. There'd be less feature support.
Yeah.
There'd be less people who know how to use it, which
Right.
then
you need somebody to integrate it because...
And who the hell is going to do that
Yeah.
at a cannabis dispensary? There's no money right now in
Yeah.
cannabis to be hiring software engineers to work for you full time.
Right.
I mean, the handful of dispensaries I'm aware of that like built their own version of Rank Really High, their payroll's fucking insane.
Yeah, I bet.
They got like a couple people making a couple $100,000 a year just maintaining their website. I'll do that for way less than that.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean? But your point about WordPress is not unfair, and you are a dick.
I appreciate that. And I don't have that many enemies, so I know we're not enemies. But
No,
I knew
absolutely not.
because it's if you're playing it too close to the chest and you're not extending yourself and actually putting out your opinions and actually trying to make progress and try to do the right thing all the time.
Yep.
Like, sure, you could be friends with everybody, but there's a few people I've definitely have upset over the years, and
Me too.
that's just what it is. I don't want to sugarcoat it. If I see something a certain way, especially when it involves my company,
It's your vision.
I'm gonna say it.
Yeah,
right.
totally.
If it's something outside, we're the Good Feels company.
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
We want to make everybody feel good.
Yeah.
Right. So and we actually believe that people who feel good can do more good. Right. And we all want to do more good.
100%.
So we're all about positivity and on this podcast and stuff like that, but I've ruffled a few feathers. I'll say it that way.
Not mine, Jason. Not mine, dude. Like, honestly, I come from the car industry. I've been called way worse than what you've called me, dude.
I bet. So when it comes to, so you go through that, you could share a story if you want about the acquisition or whatever it was or the transition out, but or it could skip directly into what got you into cannabis? Was this the 2015, 2016 where you're like, I got to stop this amphetamine situation?
That
How did that all coincide?
All right. So the way that all happened, it's related, but not exactly. The way that all went down is I was out in Minnesota. I'd left the car dealership company.
And you're still working there.
I'm still living in
you're
Minnesota.
still living there.
I'm still living there. I left with the sister of the guy I brought in to be the CEO of Dealer Teamwork to go start another wildly successful company.
Oh my God.
And I ran that with her. It was in a completely different industry, home services. This is right at the start of COVID, where people are staying at home using their plumbing like never before. The business exploded.
Home services in COVID. Wow.
Right? Like, talk about being at the
Nailed
right
it.
place at the right time.
Yeah.
It's not all wine and roses, though. It was also around the exact time that my mother was diagnosed with terminal cancer. And I was told that she had a few months to live. She hung on for a few years, but it got to the point where my father called me and said, your mother's going into hospice care. I'd like it if you could come home. And of course, there's only one answer to that. Yes, of course. You get your ass home. So I went home, and unfortunately, my business partners in the second company saw it as an opportunity to.
Wow.
It is like I said, being fired, some of the greatest things that ever happened to me, and I really, truly, honestly mean that.
Wow.
So I'm back at home in Massachusetts, living at my in-laws' house down the street in Milford, and I just got fired from my company. My mother is probably 3 or 4 weeks away from dying. And I just got a rejection letter from Car Gurus for a job that I am so fucking overqualified for. It was ridiculous. So I'm looking through my GoDaddy, just thumbing around. I start a new company in my mind every other week.
Do you have like 1 million domains?
I have 1 million domains.
Yeah.
I had more at one point.
Same, yeah.
And I saw this one, rankreallyhigh.com. And it's funny, I'm thinking, what was this about? In 2018, when I was still living out in Minnesota, I remember being in some foolish meeting about God knows what, and watching all my friends on Facebook back here in Mass buying legal weed, waiting in lines that were around buildings, getting bussed from parking lots across town, the
Lester.
day. Exactly,
Yeah.
that's exactly right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is amazing. I can't wait to go home for Christmas break and buy some legal weed. And I looked at the website, and I'm like, holy fuck. We're using
so
iframes.
bad.
We're telling our story that no one cares about. Because no one cares about our stories. They
Right.
care about our products. They care about what they will help us feel like.
Right.
Nobody goes to Walmart.com to learn about Sam Walton.
Sam Walton, yeah.
They go to fucking Wikipedia for that.
Right.
That's not going to change anytime soon. So I registered the domain name the day that Rec Sales went online in Mass. I think it was November 20th, 2018, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't touch it for 3 years. 2021, I'm like, you know what?
It's time.
It's time.
Yeah.
It's time.
If you're into cannabis, entrepreneurship, or just like hearing from people who actually build things, check out High Functioning. It's real talk with founders, operators, and big thinkers. No fluff, just game. New episodes drop every Friday, and you can subscribe and listen at highfunctioning.show. All right, let's get back to the show.
So you were on the sidelines for how long before you started it?
2 weeks.
Oh, so you were just like, let's do it.
I can't stand still, man.
Yeah,
I
I know.
like you've seen me bounce around this chair all conversation long. I can't sit still.
So you were a fan of cannabis. You saw Massachusetts cannabis sales happen, and then you had to come home, and so you were like, all right, maybe this is the chance. So 2 weeks later, you're like, rank really high.
Yep.
What's the first thing you do when you start a company? You've done this a couple of times now, so you're probably qualified to say some of this.
You call someone that you'd like to work with and ask them what problems that they have. And that happened at Dealer Teamwork. I called a gentleman named Chuck Capps, who I've known from the newsletter company. I said, hey, Chuck, what problems do you have? And he said, I have problems advertising leases. I have problems with this. And I was like, okay, I can solve that problem. In the home service side, we called a local plumbing company, and we said, hey, we've seen these opportunities. What do you think about this? And we did the exact same thing there. No one knows what a plumber charges for anything, so water heater repair. Here's what we charge to come out there and look at the water heater. Here's what an average install price costs.
Mm.
You ask questions. You figure out what problem you can solve. So I didn't know what problem I could solve in cannabis yet. I had no idea what Rank Really High was going to be. In fact, what Rank Really High is today and what it started off as are completely different.
Yeah, that happens.
I've literally I've been wrong so many times with this company. It's been ridiculous. I told my partner, Brendan, I said, it looks like Dutchie and Jane have this iframe thing. No one seems to be moving off that. I think we're going to not build menus, dude.
Now here
that's
you are.
literally
Yeah.
the antithesis of the company is
Right.
building e-commerce experience around menus.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I love it.
I had no idea. But no, I called a gentleman named Mike Dundas, who I connected to through networking with Andy Westerkamp. Mm-hmm. He said, you should call this guy Mike Dundas. He was involved with Sierra. He's a brilliant guy. He knows the CCC.
That
And I
name
looked,
sounds really familiar.
he's a
He's
guy.
done a bunch of stuff.
He's done a bunch of stuff. He's still in cannabis today. I actually spoke to him a few. He's a great guy. Great. Mike Dundas, great guy. That's his entire title. Great guy.
On LinkedIn, great.
On LinkedIn, just a great guy. And he introduced me to Anthony, who owns Clear Sky. He introduced me to Victor, who owns Ready Dispensary, and a spackling of others. And I just said, how can I help you guys? Like, this is what we're thinking. Does this work for what you're trying to do? And they're all still customers today.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
So you heard it here, folks. If you're going to start a company, talk to somebody first.
Talk to somebody.
Don't just have an idea and go execute on it, because you might be solving a problem that nobody cares about.
Yep.
Or you may not even be solving a problem at that point. You might just be doing busy time.
Or creating a new problem that no one wants to have.
Exactly. And I think that's a common mistake that a lot of founders make, and I've made it a ton, where I'm just like, I've got this great idea, and I'll start as a computer science guy
Yep.
/ software engineer
Yep.
/ the derogatory term programmer, although
Right,
whatever.
right.
Or actually even worse, IT guy.
Right.
I can't stand that term. But as a person who knows his way around computers and can build apps and websites and stuff like that, I immediately would go and code something. I'd be like, all right, I'm solving this awesome problem. It's going to be the next unicorn startup, blah, blah, blah. And then at the end of it, I'm like, all right, okay, great, I built it, having never talked to anybody. And then all of a sudden I'm like, all right, now I'm going to go put it online, and here it is, I launched it, and 0 people show up, right?
Right.
So that's a lesson that I don't think I learned until I got to my third startup or something like that. You know what I mean?
Find the demand first. You have to make sure there's demand there, because you're not solving anyone's problem if there's no demand.
Exactly.
Yep.
So you talk to these guys, and they were like, we need a service. You provide that service. What is your service today as it's evolved, I guess?
So the really easy way to think about it is we were like the Shopify or WooCommerce of cannabis. So we build a very easy to understand and work with platform on WordPress. Yep. Doesn't have to be, but that's the current configuration. Yeah. And we not only, there's 2 types of companies in the industry right now. There's the hands-off SaaS company that will sell you a menu, good luck. Mm-hmm. And then there's the agency that has all these ambitious ideas but has no tech to execute them. Rank. We are right in the middle of that. We're a consultancy with tech. We're a managed platform as a service. We have got retail strategies. We're going to help you use our tech to further your marketing and sales interests.
Yeah, and so on the retail side, obviously menu integrations and stuff like that are really important. But is it, so the way I understand it is you're using Dutchie Plus, I want to say, or something like that. Do you guys integrate with any other platforms?
Yeah, I mean, Dutchie and Jane were our first. We have a bunch of sites on Dutchie Plus, bunch of sites on Jane Roots. About 2 years ago, a lot of the POS companies started reaching out to us and saying, hey, we love what you're doing. We'd prefer if you didn't do it the way you're doing it today. Yeah. That's a nice way of saying it. Yeah. I said, sure, we'll take a look at it. So we ended up building our own e-commerce platform very quietly. And then we announced it. No one really took notice of it. But no, we are integrated with 10 of the top POS systems, Jane and Dutchie, and several more are coming online pretty soon. And our entire mantra is we design this thing for companies that want to grow, and companies that want to grow typically acquire other companies that maybe aren't growing as fast. Instead of having to rewire their entire platform and re-platform and all that, you can literally grab their POS keys and inject them right into your existing website, and you're done.
And then it's turned on.
And you can go back there and rewire what POS you want to use later, but we are designed for companies that want to grow.
That's fantastic. So, I feel like the POS is, especially the front and facing menus and stuff like that, are problematic for many reasons.
Oh, yeah.
And we know this because we've kind of looked under the hood of a lot of these point of sales, especially their embedded code. And I've actually had conversations, I think Tim, with the CEO of Dutchie, for instance, right? I've had conversations with some of the CEOs of these platforms, and I even told him straight out, I was like, you don't have to go down on 420. I could, if you want, my professional advice of a 25 plus year veteran of programming, architecture, and scalable systems, and I've built unicorn apps. I've built apps that have gone on to become unicorns, and back-end infrastructure, DevOps, SysOps, all that stuff. I can help you because people are scraping the crap out of your fucking platform.
Big time.
There's easy ways to solve this. 100%. But maybe he doesn't want to solve it. I don't know. Alternatively, and I apologize, I'm not really throwing Tim under the bus, but I mean, it was a private conversation, of course, but I've offered to support him multiple times to help that site stay up on 420 and all this other stuff. Never taken me up on it. It's still, the advice is still open if you want me to sit with your engineering team. I did have calls with the engineering team to kind of see how I could support them. Yep. Again, I'm a third party in this. I don't have a horse in this race. I'm not a retailer. Right. But we do use your scraped data. Just as a side note. But I think the closed system, and actually almost kind of goes back to your SaaS conversations with your former employers, being like, hey, let's build this platform. Let's open it up to everybody, and let's make all that extra incremental revenue because we got all this great code. Right. What I feel like the point of sale systems are failing at is providing API access to all these things for everybody, or for a small fee or something like that. Yeah, of course you can get Dutchie Plus, right? And I know there are contracts involved. I think that's probably the biggest hiccup, is because when you signed up for Dutchie in the beginning, it was we will not use your data for anything else. It's all your data and blah, blah, blah. And now you have to unwind some of those contracts to be like, hey, actually, we're going to use it in certain cases in order for other people to take it, to not take advantage of it, but be able to utilize it in order to do a better job as a brand, as a company in general, as an operator, that data is super important to us. And we don't know sometimes if we're out of stock somewhere. We don't have any insights into a lot of things, and they can't share it with us because of all these archaic contracts they had signed 5-10 years ago.
It's so fragmented. It's incredibly frustrating, and it's getting more frustrating. You're right. All of these POS companies are becoming more covetous. They're becoming more, enclosed. Yeah. Rank really high, for better or worse, and this may cripple my company. I don't care. It's the right thing to do. We're going to follow the SAP, the HubSpot model. We're going to offer tools. We have an AI bud tender. If you found one that you like better than ours, plug it in.
Yeah.
We are like the Statue of Liberty. Give us your tired and huddled masses. If they have good tech and are easy to work with, we'll work with them.
Right, exactly.
I don't know why. I don't know how companies expect to be the best at everything.
Right, exactly.
They want to
close the walls.
I only want to be the best at e-commerce.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I'm never going to buy or build a POS system.
Yeah.
I'm never going to buy or build a loyalty system. I mean, never say never, but I'm not.
Right.
I would be terrible at it.
Right.
So do what you're good at.
Yeah, and I feel like, again, it's this closed wall system that is just not serving anybody. In reality, they think it's for them, they're able to hold on to something. But like, you open up these platforms, you know how much I'll utilize those things in order to make just better business decisions for myself. Because we build software here. We have software guys. I'm not sure if you knew that.
Yep, I knew that.
And so we build software here, and we utilize that data for lots of things. But some of it is so, like, we'll use the Little Alerts platform.
Yep.
Okay, there's an API for it. Like, you pay the fee for Massachusetts, and then you get access to the API, right? And for us, we're constantly utilizing that database. But in their own words, they say, this is more like a compass and not a GPS.
100%.
Because it's directionally accurate.
It's scraped data.
It's all scraped data.
Yeah,
it's implicit. You're implying that there's this many
you're
units
skiing
left.
to where the puck might be going,
Right, exactly.
but you're not 100% sure.
And I really just wish there was more of an open perspective from a lot of these providers.
So metric, like what, that seems like that's where it should all start and end, right?
Yeah.
But first, and they have APIs. But
Metric has an API, but I feel like
it's kind of closed off, so you can't get exactly what you're looking for there, which I think is crazy.
Yeah, and I don't understand why it has to be so. I don't understand. Besides the contractual issues, which I totally get, it's like you promise this retailer you're not going to share your data, and then all of a sudden you're like, well, there's a business opportunity to share this data. We should probably look at it.
Sure.
And they can't. But I know that there's, I'm always looking for those more progressive platforms out there that are more open in trying to solve problems for everybody. Because right now it's very much, as a brand perspective, I see it as like the retailers have all these things that they see internally that if we saw, we'd be able to help them.
Right.
We'd be able to generate much more revenue from. So
you could cooperate together.
Yeah, cooperation is everything here,
exactly
right? Because it's
it
like
is.
how your inventory manager or your buyer or like the people who are taking in your products and putting them on the shelves and your retail staff, like they're busy doing a bunch of stuff.
Tons of stuff. Yep.
If you let us access to some of this data, we will get out of your way. We won't have to call you every 3 days to be like, hey, it looks like your inventory is going low. Like, we should have a conversation.
We'll just ship stuff out to you
Can we just automate some of this at some point?
100%. Yeah.
Everybody will save money. The amount of OpEx will go down because you won't have to pay all these people to manage all these things if we can just automate some of this for you.
What's the fun in that, though?
I know. Well, no, it's not that I'm trying to... we're going to get to AI in a second, talk about people not having jobs. But I'm not trying to reduce the workforce necessarily, but I am trying to say there's just better ways to do things.
100%.
And it's funny coming from such other industries that have solved all of this.
Every industry has solved this, but this one.
And everybody's so against solving it for their own interests, of course.
Of course.
And as a brand, it's nothing but frustrating.
Totally.
Do you have any solutions for brands on your platform yet?
Yeah, we do. We were in 2022. We reached out to Surfside and said, "Hey, programmatic has a fit.
Mm-hmm.
We would really think that your ads would be much more effective if they were placed on a retailer's website that carries that product." I know you were one of the early adopters of that.
Mm-hmm.
We also more recently did the same thing with iHeartJane. We said, "Hey, we have all these websites, all this inventory. We'd love for you to be able to monetize it and give the brand more insight and activity around their products on retailer websites."
Yeah.
It's a distributed brand marketing model.
Yeah, let me break that down for the audience
Please.
just in case they don't understand. So inventory literally means ads appearing on a website in the simplest term, right? So Dan's company creates websites and also these menu integrations for these companies. So Ready and Clear Sky, for instance, were one of the first two clients you had.
Yep.
And There's remnant inventory, meaning that there's just pages that don't have ads on them. Right.
Most of pages do not have ads on them.
The majority of the pages don't have ads on them, but Dan's platform allows brands to be able to advertise on his platform. So therefore, he's able to take something that wasn't making the retailer's money and turning it into more revenue for these people.
Correct.
Right. So, and it's going to be brands that are licensed and they're in your store already and whatever else.
And we keep the clicks all stay on the website.
Right.
This wasn't my idea.
Right.
This is an idea that we stole from, a couple of small companies. You may have heard of them. Target, Best Buy, Walmart,
yeah, they're
Amazon.
doing okay.
They're doing okay.
You stole their idea. They're still doing okay.
They're okay with it. I mean, it's not even an idea that I stole from them. In fact,
they got it from
in automotive,
else,
Cadillac will pay you as a dealer X amount of money to use a website that they can have some oversight onto, that they can have some activity on, that they can publish some content.
And stuff like that. Yeah.
It's called Co-op, and it works.
Yeah,
and every other industry figured that out, but this one.
Exactly.
This one's doing it now.
Well, now we're getting around to those things, and I think that's, for brands out there like ourselves, like Good Feels and Good Vibes, like we utilize platforms like that because, like, you have to understand if the customer is coming onto this website, they're clearly they're local.
Yep.
You know what I mean? This is the most local, there's a filter to everything, of course, but like the top level filter of just awareness, right? If they're on the website, it's because they're potentially thinking about shopping there. So getting your brand in front of these people is super important. And I hope that gets you some more business for this product. Sure, yeah. But because it's a phenomenal product. But yeah, if you're starting a new brand and you want to get in front of a bunch of people and you're in some of these stores already, throw in a little bit of cash towards a little bit of ads, because then people will be aware of this. That's actually one of the biggest fights we're having right now with Dutchie.
Oh, okay. Tell me about that. I didn't know that.
This is breaking news because this has only happened in the last few weeks. But we're getting better at this, and the team over at Dutchie has been phenomenal at addressing some of my concerns. Okay. But we saw, I won't name any names, we saw an edible company, we'll say, gummies, because that's 90% of edibles at this point, a gummy company advertising on our pages, right?
A gummy company?
And on the menus on Dutchie's platform.
Interesting.
So you go to, I don't know, what's a good example? We'll just say Ready for now. You go to Ready, for instance, and assuming they had just the embedded Dutchie code, there'd be, if you clicked on our product on Ready's website, you'd see, hey, here's his Good Vibes, and it's a tincture and all this other stuff. And then you'd see below sponsored
a sponsored row,
and it would say Gummy Company, right? And I was like, that's interesting, because we were told we can't cross categories.
Oh, you definitely can.
So I was
on any platform you can absolutely.
I said, hey, Dutchie, real quick, you told us we can't advertise in edibles because we're a tincture, but there's an edible company advertising in tinctures. So what is it, right? And so their CRO actually is in Boston.
A lot of their teams here now.
Yeah. So I hit him. I was like, hey, I'm trying to double the amount of money I'm literally trying to hand you thousands of dollars a month, but you're not letting me. Why, right? And so we're jumping on it, we'll take care of it. Anyways, it seems like they're starting to get addressed these things, but it's things like that where it's just I don't know if it's an account manager situation where they were just they were told something 7 years ago and it's still relevant, where you can't go across categories, but we're but other people are, so why can't we, right?
You totally can.
And so
you totally can.
Those are the things that it's everything in cannabis is constantly broken and then being fixed.
Broken and on fire.
Broken and on fire.
Yeah.
And then somebody says, wait a second, I think there's something on fire. They're like, I don't know if it is. And you're like, but there's smoke. Is there really smoke over there? And then you were like, oh, they're like, yeah, we should probably take care of that. Mm-hmm. And then eventually something will get fixed. But it's it's almost like everybody moved too fast. Mm-hmm. And then they're stuck in that old kind of moving so fast that they built all this kind of, for lack of a better term, I think in programming you call it just all this residual stuff that you'd built up over the years that now you can't go back and fix because you have to break it first.
Yeah,
it's all legacy stuff.
Yeah.
And so, but again, I'm picking on Dutchie a little bit, but I'm not really picking on Dutchie. I love the team. Their platform does great for us. I just want to give you a lot more money, so please let me give you more money. Jane is totally cool with it though. So I'm I don't get it. So Jane Team is awesome also. And so, but again, we're always looking for more opportunities. So we may have a side conversation. You're probably cutting edge on this stuff. We probably don't know as much. I would love to know more opportunities, of course, that we can kind of put our brand in front of people.
Do you know what the next thing is? Can I just tell you a little preview? Advertorials, sponsored content.
I like advertorials.
Like in every other industry, if you're a brand on a website, let's say you're Snuggle fabric softener and you want to like break a new scent or whatever out, you call up Walmart, you call up Target, you say, hey, I got this. They charge you some money and you publish content directly to their consumer base. Yeah. You marry that to a newsletter, you marry that to a trickle email blast, you marry that to a social media post. That's the next thing.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the next thing.
They do it in other industries.
Every other industry. Yeah.
So, that stuff, advertorials, I remember when that first was coming out back in the day. Oh, what's the other name for it? It's like...
Sponsored content, advertorial,
Advertorial, yeah.
Yep.
So, and I remember when the first iterations came out, you were like, suspicious. You were like, this looks like an ad, and it kind of reads like an ad. So it wasn't done really well in the beginning. I remember this came out in like early 2000s.
Well, everything today that you read is an ad. It's somebody's lens, it's somebody's interpretation of whatever they want you to think or feel.
Yeah, let's get into that a little bit. Because I think actually this is related to AI a lot too, because a lot of the stuff is being generated really quickly too. Despite the fact there's AI slop, of course, which is the term that's going around. But AI can be utilized really, really well. What's your take on AI right now? From your company perspective, how are you guys utilizing it? Are you big into like the AEO version of SEO?
Yeah.
Like, talk to me about that.
We're definitely an AI forward company. We are not trying to use AI to replace our staff. We do not think that there's a replacement for a human being using brains and thinking right now. I think that AI will make a good operator a stronger operator. So our entire digital strategy team is using it to funnel through data and look for, nuggets within that data to make actionable decisions off of. We are absolutely investing in AI content generation, but we are doing it very slowly, very methodically, because hallucinations do happen, and regs and medical claims and all that stuff can be, if not policed properly, could be a humongous problem for your compliance team to deal with as a retailer.
Absolutely.
So we're not like diving into the pool. We're trying to figure out how deep the pool is and dip our toe in before we go crazy, but we are doing it. We're not going to just send emails out to our customers or even our prospects. They're just mindless AI emails. Not yet, at least. We're still working our way through that. I think if you have a great process, you can improve it with AI. I think if you have a terrible process, you can make it worse with AI.
That's a fair point. I never heard that side of it, because I was thinking everything's great. You can augment your team with AI and everything gets better.
Yep.
But the downside is if your processes are broken...
Yep.
And they're non-functional, and your team is dysfunctional, adding AI to it is just going to amplify it.
Right?
Yeah,
exactly.
If you already have a content strategy that's garbage, because I think we riffed on this a long time ago, probably on that same call where I was bashing WordPress. When I was doing SEO, probably like 2000, I think it was probably like around 2009, 2010.
Yep.
I was doing a ton of SEO with my business partner. My business partner was really in charge of the SEO. But I was kind of, I was the implementation person because I was the tech guy.
Yep.
And we got hit by the Panda update from Google. And our traffic went down 40-50% overnight. Literally the next day, we could see the graph on Google Analytics like that. Because content farm.
Yep.
Right? So if you can just pump out as many articles as you possibly can, and we were doing it with real people back then,
right.
But imagine if it was AI available at that time, right. Oh my God. I would have pumped out millions of pages of just trash content because Google was rewarding you for it. Your traffic kept on going up. We're like, all right, let's just hire more editorial people.
And then you toss some programmatic ad pixels on there and you're in the money.
Yes, programmatic as well.
Yep.
So, but to get back to the current day, if you have a dysfunctional company or you get a really bad content strategy, it'll just amplify your bad content.
It'll make you look really stupid much faster than you can do it on your own.
I like that. And are you tracking AEO yet? Or do you what is your term preference? I've heard AIO, AEO.
I don't care what you call it. Just showing up in the chat box at the top of the search engine, it's fine. Whatever you want to call it's fine with me. Yeah, we're optimizing our content. We're using business schema. We're using product schema to help make that more visible.
Yeah, does your strategy change at all, really, though?
Not really. I mean, you make sure your code is formulated and structured correctly, which we've done since day one. and you encourage a lot of that stuff today, best dispensary near me, best prices, is all based on your
Local
operators doing a good job,
Yeah.
collecting reviews from their customers, making sure that their business is open just a tad longer than their competitors' business is open, and then, pricing their shit to market, because we're publishing the inventory to Google. It's not our job to price that inventory to market.
Of course. Yeah, so, and I think that's where a lot of this gets twisted, is that in the SEO world, right, we've already been trained up so much on how to do the things the right way.
Right.
If you continue to do the things the right way, the artificial intelligence side should.
Yep.
And just to break it back down for the audience, is like SEO, obviously, we've talked a lot about SEO. A lot of operators who joined the industry before they knew anything about SEO wish they'd started SEO back in the day. Because if you could own Medway, Massachusetts dispensary, although there's no dispensaries allowed here, if you could own that, then anybody who's typing in dispensary who lives in Medway, you're going to rank number 1 for that, right? And they're going to go to your store, right? So local search is a huge component of that. Now, with artificial intelligence, now you're saying, okay, if I go on ChatGPT, now most people will go through Google and you'll get the snippet, which is what you're talking about, the Gemini snippets there.
Yep.
Which is problematic in itself, but I was interviewed for an article about Google a couple years ago about AI, and I was basically, it's the downfall of Google search at this point. But ChatGPT is also a competitor here, because now you're going into ChatGPT and you're typing in, what's the best dispensary around, and it'll go fetch data and all this other stuff, and it'll be like, hey, number 1 is ready, number 2 is this, right? So from my perspective, I always look at AEO as adjacent to SEO, because if you're doing the things properly in SEO, you don't really have to optimize heavily for AEO. But are you tracking it with any software, I guess, is more of the question.
A lot of it is visible in Google today, and in Search Console they've made some recent updates. The way I look at it is, if you did SEO really well, AEO is making that really good linear strategy 3-dimensional. Because now you're combining, because the early days of SEO was just, if you had the words best dispensary near me all over your website, you typically ranked for best dispensary near me. Yeah. But now you need to supplement that with good positive reviews, good markup, good schema, backlinks. You need to have people constantly writing reviews about your business. You need to be soliciting them or eliciting them for those reviews. That's how you do it now.
The basics,
If you run a good business online, you run a good business in person, you're going to benefit from AEO.
Yeah, exactly. So on the AEO side, that's my preferred way of doing search now, is ChatGPT. I pay for the pro.
So you're a GPT guy? I got them all. I've been using Grok a lot. I've been using Gemini. I've used Copilot. I don't know why I use Copilot.
I think it's the best for just integrating across everything for me. Now, I know Claude has connectors now too, so I do appreciate that. So I'll hop over to Claude occasionally. I do pay for a lot of them, but I 99% of the time will use ChatGPT because it's just my go-to. I don't know.
It's the Google of AI. Everyone knows what ChatGPT is. Nobody knows what Claude is. Right. Let's be honest.
I just get the best results consistently, whereas sometimes I'll go to Claude and it's really great at writing, and I'm like, hey, just check this LinkedIn post for me real quick to make sure it's cool. And it'll be like, hey, you should change these things or something like that, which is helpful. But sometimes when I'll do a contract, just can you just look at this contract just to make sure there's nothing spooky in here? An NDA, you're whatever, it's an NDA, and it's as long as there's nothing crazy in there, I'll sign the NDA kind of thing.
Sure.
Because I don't read NDAs. I do the same
thing. Legal contracts,
it's so much easier.
Oh my God. If you're not using ChatGPT to review contracts, you're insane.
Yeah, exactly. So, there's a million use cases for why to use AI in general for all parts of your life. I've optimized so much. I have... More recently, I've been putting together supplements. I know you work out, right? I put together a daily powder blend for myself.
Nice. I
also put together a pre-workout with no caffeine. Because I enjoy my coffee in the morning. So I don't want to have caffeine in my pre-workout also. My heart would bust in my chest, right? So I've been using I have a whole project called Health Span, right? In there, it's all about, weirdly enough to say, which is something I never would have said a year ago, skincare.
Interesting.
It's skincare stuff. It's lifespan stuff. It's and it's a bucket. I give it instructions. because a project in ChatGPT, you can give instructions to
Yep,
the top, and
yep.
then it'll fall kind of
trickle
like
them
those
down to all the-
structures,
yeah.
all the chats inside that project. And so like I'll continually go and revise these things and continue to be like, hey, you know all about my skincare routine. Okay, is
Yep.
there anything come out in the last few months that I should be thinking about, right?
Yep.
And like there's so many things this is something I'd said jokingly a couple years ago when I was getting bigger into AI. I said to my wife, I'm like, I talk to my computer more than I talk to you.
It's true.
That's
It's so-
crazy.
It's so true.
And it's even amplified more now. Because now you can voice and all this other
Yep.
stuff. I also have a Tesla, so I've got Grok in my Tesla. So I can if I hold down the speak button, which used to be like, hey, just like do basic commands.
Yep.
If I press it once, but if I hold it down, Grok comes up now. And now I can have a full-on conversation, right? So I was having a conversation. So my daughter's big into brain rot.
Yep.
Do you know brain rot?
I've heard of it.
You guys, this is nobody nobody who's listening to this who's above the age of 25 probably is going to understand anything I'm about to say. But my daughter's into Steal a Brain Rot, which is a Roblox game.
Okay. I
Which,
know what that is.
Where you grow brain rots. The
Okay.
brain rots are basically like a meme. Okay. So an old school meme that it's called brain rot now. So it ends up happening as in like a noun. It's like a thing.
Okay.
Right? And so you grow these brain rots and then you steal them from other people on this game in Roblox. Anyways, it's not just any brain rot though. It's Italian brain rot.
Interesting.
Cultured brain rot. It is.
I see what you're saying.
And it's things like, my daughter hates when I butcher that. She's 8. She hates when I butcher these names, but it's things like ballerini cappuccini or whatever. It's just these little snippets of memes that became a thing, and now they're like in this game and stuff like that.
So your daughter's like basically playing a game where she's creating NFTs or something like that.
Kind of.
Like.
It's growing these things, right? So, but I only went on a sidetrack to exemplify the fact that AI is kind of surrounding me now. Mm-hmm. I have a self-driving car.
Yep.
And B, now I have AI inside of it. So I hit the self-drive, I hit the AI, and I'm like, tell me more about this Italian brain rot. Give me some of the names. And my daughter and I are just talking to like the AI together and be like, what about this? What about that? Like, where did this even come from? Like, what is a brain rot? Like, that was my first questions, of course. And it's just like, now it's fully embedded into my life where I'm having full-blown conversations with AI on a daily basis.
Yep.
And I run most of my life through it almost as a gut check, just to make sure that like, okay, there's nothing else I'm not thinking of, right? Yep. So I may be down the deeper end than most people will say, but I get so much benefit from it that I don't see how I could never have it now. You know what I mean?
I do know what you mean. But there's a downside to it too, right?
Yeah, tell me, my therapist.
There's a lot of people using it for therapy now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've asked it questions. I'll be honest. Like, I'm not ashamed of that. I've asked it some questions, some guidance type questions. I've also done a lot of research on like the industries and areas and jobs it's going to disrupt or
100%.
eliminate. One of the ones that makes me the most sad is elder care.
Oh, in what way?
Having someone to talk to that acts like they care about you. It breaks my fucking heart.
So basically, like, now you just, instead of having someone visit, you just talk
Instead
to
of your
AI.
daughter or your son coming to visit you when you're old, you have a fucking phone talking to you.
Yeah.
Isn't that depressing? It's depressing.
Yeah.
Like, I mean...
Well, we saw some of this coming, and so I feel like, to a certain extent, I always think about those one-way... there's better words for this, and my brain's not quite functioning 100% right now, but there's better words for this, but it's like that one-way companionship that you have with even a YouTube or influencer, or like... So I watch... I'm embarrassed to admit this. I watch a ton of Super Mario, people playing video games.
Okay. I was like the old cartoon.
No, that's cool though.
Okay,
but no,
you're on like Twitch watching these people play.
Exactly, but
Dude,
then they have
the
YouTube
speed rounds.
Speed runs and stuff like that.
You're not a nerd. I watch
so
that too.
I watch that stuff, and it's such a one-way relationship because I'm also out there online too. So I think there it goes the other way too, where like people know a lot about me, but I don't know about a lot of people. So the people watching me, I don't know these people for the most part. Because there's a lot more people that don't follow me. I mean, that don't know me, that follow me.
Yeah.
So there's probably like a couple hundred people that I'm like, I know these people. But then the rest of them, I don't know who these people are, right? So there's that one-way companionship. It's like a parasocial relationship. I think there's something like that it's called. And I feel like that's kind of like, those things have been forming since almost kind of like YouTube influencers became a thing,
Yep.
and then TikTok exploded, and then all of a sudden you get these 13-year-olds with millions of views. My daughter literally has a video over a million views herself right now.
Wow.
On a very private account that she doesn't share with me or anybody. She's like, hey, check this out. She had like 150,000 likes. I'm like, what did you say? She's like, I can't tell you. I'm like, all right. Anyways, bad parenting, whatever. So, but the point of the story is that like these one-way relationships have kind of been happening, and I don't want to get too depressed, but like it was years ago now, because I've been, I did AI at WPI. It was one of the classes that I was really good at was AI.
Yep.
And so back in 2001, I literally have homework on the WPI website where it said Jason Raposa gave us his example because it was like it nailed kind of like the idea behind the A-star algorithm for AI.
Yep.
Anyways, or not for AI, but just in general. But the AI side of it has been with me for so long, and I've been studying it for so long as a computer scientist, that all this coming out to the light now is super interesting to me, because even it was 7-8 years ago, kind of when I first moved back to Massachusetts from New York City, I was seeing a chiropractor for like a jaw issue that I was having.
Okay.
And we were talking about things, and I had to tell her this idea I had. I was like, you know what you could do right now, based on the current state of AI? I don't think ChatGPT 3 was out at that point. This is because it was so long ago. But I was like, you know what you could do? And I wrote like a mini script for a film from this. The idea was that you could recreate your loved ones that have passed. And then you can just have a conversation. So the opening scene was you arrive almost like Blade Runner style, or even in a sense, what's that movie that's like it's like a spoof on that stuff for the future? I can't remember the name. Greg McDaniels maybe, or no, one of those guys who created. Anyways, oh my god, I'm really
now I
want to
know what movie this is.
But anyways, it is kind of or even just like what's that Disney movie with the robot?
Mr.
WALL-E. It's like WALL-E. You get all these people on like these little like hovercrafts that are just like overweight, and they're just getting 100% video screens in their face the entire time. I was like, you come home and you say, hey auntie, how's it going? I had a bad day today. And auntie goes, oh, I'm sorry, honey. What do you want to talk about? And it's artificial though. The person's passed already.
I have so many mixed emotions.
I know, and that's why I changed the narrative a little bit, because I know what you just told me, so I'm trying to be sensitive to your situation.
No, you don't have to be sensitive. I'm just like, it would be amazing to speak to a dead loved one. I don't know how I'd feel about it, though.
Right, exactly. So, like, because we also aggregated so much video and audio from people now.
Right.
That
you could do it.
Now you have the ability to recreate this person with 99% accuracy.
Yeah.
In the way they speak, and look at all the video that we're taking right now, right? Your future ancestors, 3 generations from now, might be talking to you over video, and be like, hey, great grandpa Dan,
Jeez,
like, Bob, like, what do you think about what was the cannabis industry like back in the 2020s?
We got space weed now, pops.
It's just like it's in the air all the time, and you just inhale it. But I do think about like. Even back then, when I was really starting to think about AI and how it could be applied, I was thinking about if you could recreate these loved ones that have passed, and now you have the ability to kind of just like... But again, that is... The reason why I got into this was because the end-of-life care, or whatever you want to call it, where you're in a senior center, elder care, and it's like... Is it real, or is it fake?
And that's the conundrum right there.
Because now we're going into the matrix a little bit, we're just a set of inputs and outputs. You see things, you hear things, you touch things, you get all your senses, right? And some people lack certain senses, right? So some people might be blind or have hearing loss or something like that. But we're just inputs and outputs. Again, I'm a computer nerd, so that's why I always go inputs and outputs. But it's like, is that a real thing? Or is it just consoling enough because you can't get... you can't get beyond your past in a sense. You know what I mean? So it's like all that. It's just a heavy, heavy topic, and all this stuff is actually coming.
It's happening.
I think there is a company that started doing this like a year ago or something like that. I heard about it for the first time. Like, hey, talk to your deceased loved ones or something like that.
It's out there,
and it's spicy. So, anyways, didn't mean to put a huge downer on the podcast.
No, it's still it's a great topic, and people need to talk about it on cannabis podcasts across the country.
Yeah, exactly, all of them. Speaking of that, actually, just to switch up the topics to something more positive, there is a lot more podcasts coming out right now, actually. I noticed that, and I'm loving it. And I'm part of that generation, in a sense, because I only started this, a year ago at this point. But, like, it's so cool to see people who are really, like, embracing social media and talking about more stories, because there's a lot of education that sits behind walls and private phone calls and all this other stuff that like could be really useful for people in this industry. And I spoke to somebody yesterday who came by for a tour, who also doesn't really want to be known yet because he's a little bit underground delivery operator. He doesn't want to be, tell everybody who he's at, where he's at right now. But met with me, gave him the tour, and it really was like he had thanked me so much for the podcast, because it's like some of the stuff he's talking about, he's so new to. It's just like every single podcast, he's like, I just learned something again, right? Yep. So we got to keep on spreading this knowledge out there. It's only going to come back with good karma. Like, just get it out there. Get as many people talking about these topics as possible, whether it's social consumption, whether it's the license cap debate, which we tried to do, but nobody was down for. I mean, there was 1.5 people down for it, but like we tried to get this license cap debate going, but I didn't get any like we had 4 people, 2 against and 2 for it, and we only got one kind of person who was very much just like, yeah, I'm in, let me know. And the other 3 people kind of weren't. 2 of them never got back to me at all, and one person got back to me, was like, yeah, maybe I could do it in the future or something like that. And like, it's kind of past at this point.
It's over, yeah.
But it's a great conversation. It's
a great topic
that should be happening in public, because I'm not informed in some of these things.
Yep.
I'm not a retailer, and it really affects retailers more than anything.
100%.
So I want to hear from retailers or delivery operators, however you want to swing it, that say like, I'm against it because of X, Y, and Z, and the other person say I'm for it because of X, Y, and Z, and I want to know, like, I want to have an informed decision when it comes to the point where, like, should I be lobbying for it or should I be lobbying against it? Because sometimes I show up to the State House, sometimes I talk to the local politicians, I'm out there talking to all these people, but if you're not able to like come together and have a responsible and informed discussion about it and inform the rest of the audience, it's not helpful. Like, we have to get these conversations going out in the public eye.
I love the fact that the podcast format invites us to have uncomfortable conversations. I think, like, the interview format of the past, scripted. I know what you're going to ask me. You sent me an email last night. Tell me what you want to talk about. I'm like, whatever. Yeah, and I really mean that. Like, I will talk about any fucking topic. Yeah. Maybe not knowledgeably, but...
So let's get to the topics, because I do have a couple left. And I do feel like some of them are going to be maybe... not confrontational, but like a little bit spicy.
Oh boy.
So,
here we go.
Like, let's get to some of the semi-spicy ones. So, when it comes to, I guess, what you see in the future, who wins and who fails?
As far cannabis?
As cannabis. Massachusetts. Let's stick to Massachusetts for now.
It's a hard question, and I'm looking at it through the lens of I have a heart, but I also have a brain.
Both are definitely involved, right?
100%.
Because you see a lot of operators too, from the retail side especially.
It is impossible to scale your business as a single point operator. I think there's going to be a lot of challenges there. There already have proven to be challenges there. I think that social equity was a great sounding idea. I think the execution has left so much to be desired. I think we put people who weren't ready to own businesses in a position to not be able to run a business properly, not be able to secure funding, and that breaks my fucking heart. But some of them just haven't found success, and I don't know what you can do to fix that.
So, and since you have so many insights, because you obviously work directly with retailers, how many stores do you think you need in order to survive? So single store operators are kind of like, unless you're in, but again, like, if the license cap goes up to say 4, 5, 6, then, an MSO comes in. This is the big fear about the small operators. An MSO comes in, literally stands up next to you and says, hey, now we're open and we're going to undercut you by $20 on every SKU.
And they can, because half the products that the independent is selling are the MSO's products, and they can price control the fuck out of you. So
Yeah,
I don't know how you fight that. I think the single points that are family-run single points, where they have like sister stores or cousin stores, and we have a lot of those, and they're going to do all right. They're going to weather the storm.
Because they can lean on each other a little bit.
They can lean on each other. They can create an MSO atmosphere without being an MSO, which has tremendous advantages. I think the MSOs are going to have challenges as well, because there are people, I'm one of them, who just are not going to smoke traditional MSO weed. Yeah. I'm just not. I'm not going to smoke big box weed.
But you're informed.
I am.
Where a lot of people are going for value.
I'm not in a race to put the cheapest possible product into my body.
Yeah, of course.
That's where I
agree with you.
That's where I sit.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I do think, because Airjust is leaving the market now.
They're
it's been
out.
Announced,
They're
right?
gone. Yeah.
Tilt had sold their stuff. In Good Health, I think, picked up Tilt stuff.
Yep. They did. Yeah.
Yeah, and so like there's obviously we all know about True Leave. That was like 2 years ago at this point. They left this giant Holyoke building vacant, basically, and bounced.
Yep.
Because Florida. They can have 300 stores in Florida.
But they're probably going to leave Florida they're from Florida, so maybe
I don't know. Yeah, they lobby. They have like a whole team
She
there.
lobbies her ass off. I got to give her credit for that.
Yeah, 100%. Like, you're in the rooms you need to be in, Kim.
She's dealing with it, so I don't have to. That's great.
So, but when it comes to Massachusetts-specific stuff, the license cap being at 3, a lot of those MSOs are kind of just like, which we've heard from, and even Carl had mentioned this in the last podcast, which is they're willing to just spend money just to keep it going. It's a checkmark state, is what I was told.
Do you know the story about diapers.com and Amazon?
A little bit. Tell me more, though.
Okay, so I just saw this on a reel or something like last night. I'd heard it before. So Jeff Bezos made some ridiculous multi-billion-dollar acquisition offer to diapers.com in 2010 or something. I don't know the exact date, to buy their company. And they were in love with what they were doing. They were bringing value diapers to mothers and parents across the country. So when they said no to Bezos, he said, okay, whatever. I can afford to lose money for forever.
For forever.
So he lowered his prices and just crushed their business in a very short amount of weeks and months. Yeah. Went back and this is actually the nice part. If it's true, this is actually the nice part. He made them the same offer, which they had to comply with at that point. But
they're just going to bury him.
The point is they can control the prices because they control the products, they control the market. The only thing they can't control is the demand, and I'm pretty sure they can influence it in many ways.
Well, the thing is, it's funny because on the internet, you only have to have one store.
Right.
You can have Amazon.com and that's your store, right? 100%. Whereas we're talking about physical brick and mortar.
Yep.
And now we're talking about MSOs coming in saying all right, we're just going to keep on flooding the market with cheap product, selling it cheap at our stores, undercutting the mom and pop next to us by $10 every pre-rolls are $3 on Tuesdays or something like that, right? And as a brand, it breaks my heart too, because I also don't have much control over my pricing, which is really shocking.
Why don't we have an MSR, or do we have an MSR? I'm not as
we do,
but no one honors it.
No, we always say, if you guys, Keystone was always the precedent that was set from the very beginning, right?
Right.
So we're always just all right, we'll sell it wholesale for 20, you put it on the menu for 40. That's it.
That's fair,
right?
Yeah.
If you want to include taxes or not include taxes, that's up to you. I don't really care. But we have some companies have come to us, put our product out, we sell it to them for 20, they put it out for 50, and then they say, hey, it's not moving as fast. We're like, well, it's not, you didn't put it at the MSRP. And then they'll say hey, the guy down the street selling for 35 or whatever.
Yep.
Be like, well, he's, we don't, so it could be 50 at the store, a half a mile away from a store that's doing it at 35. And we literally can't control it. We've told them, please honor our MSRP. It should be $40 because we don't want to dilute our brand either. No. We don't want we're selling it for $20 and they're going to sell it for $25 and then undercut everybody around it. Then the next time they go to another store down the street and they're like, hey, why is it $40 here? And we're like, that's actually the price, right? So we have very little control. We can suggest that's why it's MSRP.
Sure.
Suggested retail price.
Right.
And they don't have to honor that. Now, I have had conversations with a few really intelligent operators on the retail side that you can enforce a MAP pricing, which basically makes it a contract.
Yep.
I just don't know much about that stuff.
I actually know a lot about that stuff. In the automotive
Oh.
industry, this has been a hot topic for 25 years, maybe more than that.
Well, that's why it's interesting, because remember Saturn came out?
Yep.
And they were like, it's a fixed price.
It's this price,
Right.
you cannot...
That's Tesla now,
That's
but
Tesla
without
now.
dealerships.
Yep.
So it's like, it's a fixed price, buy it online.
There's dealers that do that too. Some of the big auto groups do it, like Yonkers Auto, like a bunch of auto groups do it, where they say like it's an out-the-door price. It might not be MSRP, but it's an out-the-door price of price transparency. Price transparency is a huge topic in automotive. The other side of the coin is the
Map pricing?
OEMs, the original equipment manufacturers, which is Nissan and Ford.
Toyota, yeah.
Many of them, especially the luxury brands like Cadillac or BMW, they tell dealerships the bottom line price that they can honor. And if they go beneath it and they're caught, they can take major money away from them. And they
there's
do.
fines and stuff
They
like that.
fine the shit out of them.
Yeah.
Which, I mean...
Because it dilutes their brand, especially if you're a Cadillac. You're like, you can't sell a Cadillac for $30,000.
If you have to ask,
You're
you can't
diluting the
afford a
brand.
Ferrari. Like, that's like
Yeah.
been Ferrari's unsaid mantra for forever. It does dilute your brand by allowing the price to be uncontrolled by the manufacturer.
Right, exactly.
It can. It absolutely does.
Yeah, so we have to look more into that. I don't know. If anybody has solutions for stuff like that, definitely hit me up, because we struggle with that a lot, because we have fielded calls from people who are struggling, maybe your mom and pops, who are like, hey, we have an MSRP, but the store next to us is just undercutting it like nonstop. And so it's like every time we release a price, and it's not just our brand, it's everybody's brand. So every time we release it's a $40 for this, and $8 pre-rolls or whatever. And then all of a sudden you'll see it like $1 or $2 less on the other side, because they're just watching the entire time, right? Anyways,
we had a product called V-Auto in automotive, and things like Little Alerts are starting to move in this direction, where this tool, V-Auto, would look at everyone's inventory and be able to tell the person using it who has a car similar to me, what it's priced at, what is this car selling at around the country, what is it selling at locally, and it would dynamically adjust your pricing so you would have a great target market price.
Dynamic pricing, I think, is one of those things. And there's a guy, college student, or maybe recently graduated. I met him at Flower Expo, who's working on this right now.
Okay.
So he was he asked me a few references.
Is he a Massachusetts guy?
I don't actually know.
Okay.
I've only had one call with him. I met him in person.
Okay.
We were watching, I think it was Greg Chemdog Krasnowski. His Flower Expo, he was on stage with Dan McCarthy.
Okay.
All from, obviously, Canada Provisions. But I think that guy was in the audience, or it was like one of the talks at Flower Expo. He was in the audience.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, startup guy. Cool.
Yeah.
Like, what are you working on? Like, I just love startups, and I love
Totally.
entrepreneurs. They're my favorite type of people, because they're so crazy.
We're nuts.
And you have to be
We're all
fucking crazy.
nuts.
So, like, tell me what you're working on. Like, I just want to know. Like, and he went into this whole pricing thing. I'm like, oh, dynamic pricing.
Yep.
Totally.
Yep.
So if you hear from me introing like a college kid or whatever, like a 22-year-old to, hey, talk to this guy, like that's they're talking dynamic pricing, which I think is actually potentially a solve for some of this. Now, it's not going to do all of it, but like that's a good kind of thing to work at.
There's two ways to solve this. It's either that, where everyone's trying to price their products competitively and they're all about the same price, because that's what happens over time, or it's from the brand, and the brand enforces strict pricing
There's
guidelines.
2 ways to do it. Yeah, and you can learn from other industries.
I've learned everything I know from other industries.
Exactly. And so, that's interesting, because there's also, so on our website, we have a store locator, and our store locator also sorts by pain. We call it the pain sort.
Okay.
Which is based on
that.
distance and price. So what you do is, if you go by pain, it's basically saying like, because if you're at one dispensary and another dispensary is trying to undercut them, if that dispensary lowers it, say within like $2 or $3, so it's like, okay, it's close enough. I'm not going to switch dispensaries over a couple dollars kind of thing. You know what I mean?
I'm not going to drive 6 more miles and waste 10 gallons of gas,
or whatever. Yeah. So the pain measurement is something that we actually really like with our store locator, because it really is about, okay, you can get it for $40, and actually that's some of the reasons. That's how we're trying to help, at least, by being like, there's a store right next to you at $40, and there's a store probably like 20 miles away that has it for like $30. That $10 worth that extra 20 minutes, 20-mile drive, which might be a 30-minute drive with traffic or whatever, both each way, it's an hour of your time for $10 difference. Nah, I don't think it's worth it. So hopefully some of these, hopefully other brands kind of adapt kind of like some of those things. But like for the most part, I feel for the retailers. And that's why the license cap debate is going to be super important. But getting back to your original thing, like, I kind of agree with you. Like, the single store owners are going to have by far the roughest time.
The only ones that are going to have a rougher time, and I hate to say it because I like every one of our delivery operators in the state. I like them. I think they're good people. They've got a hard road ahead of them.
Yeah.
They got a hard fucking road ahead
Their
of them.
heart is in it. The passion is there.
I love them. They're all, like,
But-
Dwayne Harden. I love Devin. Like, they're all fucking awesome people. Stick in it, but, I mean...
How do you make delivery
There's
work?
going to be a lot of blood.
Without being able to advertise.
It's going to be a lot of blood.
Yeah. I know there's ways around advertising. Actually, let's switch to that really quick because I'm
Sure.
super interesting if you want to just divulge a little bit of secrets here to the audience.
What do you want to know?
How do people advertise on Meta?
They break the rules.
It's just breaking the rules.
They're just breaking the rules. So
Because everybody says, why could they advertise on Meta? And I try to post an Instagram reel and it gets taken down the next day.
So we were one of the only, if not the only, Google Premier partner in cannabis, which was I loved bragging about that. I was a Google partner in my other two companies as well. We stopped doing Google ads because it's a toxic thing to offer dispensaries.
How so?
Because you're basically offering something to them that they cannot rely on.
What do you mean?
So the only way you can get a Google ad, I mean, I'm not saying the only way. I'm sure there's some smarter people out there than me who have figured this out. A lot of them, actually. But the basic formula for Meta and Google is you cheat. And here's how you cheat. You put a new domain together that doesn't have if you have cannabis in your name,
Get it out.
You get it out. You know.
Yeah, obviously.
If it's even suggestive of cannabis, you change it or you abbreviate it, whatever it is. You put a new website on that domain that's very simple. It doesn't have cannabis, marijuana, weed, any words like that. Mm-hmm. It's literally just a picture of your store, and if there's a pot leaf on your store, you blur it out. You put a link to go to their menu, and when they click on that link, it's usually generated with JavaScript, so Google has a harder time reading it. There's a time delay.
And then it flips.
And then the bot was no longer able to see what's going on, and it flips. I've also seen other landing pages where it's just a really long age gate with like a tracker on the top of it, and then as soon as that bot is no longer able to crawl the page, it goes right to the website.
Yeah, I bet some people who are more intelligent than us are probably know the bots only look for 5 seconds. They scrape the page, and after what it is, then it's they can kind of skip to the next thing. But that's super interesting. So you basically you create a new domain, scrubbed up anything related to THC, maybe add some blurry pictures that are hard, like a human can see, but maybe Google search engine or Google's crawler for their ad, because there's ad compliance stuff.
Yeah.
That one isn't as developed as a human eye potentially for searching these things, or even
about
if they
where
look
we're
at
at with
images.
AI, right now you can get away with it. It's not going to last much longer.
Yeah.
It's a bubble.
So, and of course, and that's the funny thing because there's community guidelines, there's standards, especially in Meta.
Yep.
They have 100,000 people probably on staff just to look at posts all day to make sure it's not bad stuff.
Yep.
Including cannabis is bad stuff, but at some point, you're like, hey, let's try to save some OpEx here. And by firing half the staff and replacing with AI, it's you're just replacing with computers now. So I could definitely see that being a thing because the community standards are very strict. Meta publishes them, obviously. You can't talk about firearms and drugs and all this other stuff,
You
right?
can't talk about any of that stuff, no.
Yeah, so
But you can talk about liquor.
Oh, can you really?
Google
Allows
Heineken or Google a beer, Google liquor store near
You'll
me.
see ads
You'll
for them.
see ads, yeah.
Oh, interesting. I
And
didn't know
some medicines, too. Some dangerous pharmaceuticals you can see ads for as well.
that. Really?
And some health supplements that have not gone through the FDA.
Yeah, health supplements, that's a whole new ballgame.
That's a whole... Yeah,
Supplements, I think the supplement industry... I feel like I was telling you, I've started blending my own powders and stuff like that. I've always been into supplements since I was a kid.
Yeah, me too.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I started lifting when I was probably 13 or something like that, right? And in the high school, everybody's pumping iron, and all of a sudden he's like, "What's creatine?" And blah blah. That
Dude,
conversation.
creatine's awesome.
Yeah, creatine's fantastic.
Fucking brain stuff it does. It's amazing.
I'm still a 5 mg guy. I mean, a 5 gram guy. I may dabble with a 10-15 dose occasionally. I heard that it's better with creatine specifically. It's if you had a bad night's sleep or something like that. If you take 15, you're
feel better.
your brain's back on,
Yeah,
kind of
exactly.
thing. So I'm gonna experiment if I have a bad night's sleep one of these days. I try not to obviously have those, but on the supplement industry, I think to myself I should probably, even since I'm buying the individual powders, since I'm in manufacturing, I know that if you get a powder off Amazon, where's the COA?
Right.
Where's the test lab?
Right,
Where's the
exactly.
labs
It's all
on that?
bullshit. If it's there, it's bullshit.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
so
totally.
it's like, all right, so now I got to assemble all these powders, and when I put the assembly together, I should probably send this to a lab to make sure it doesn't have like crazy amounts of lead in it or something like that.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the supplement industry is one of the shadier industries because it's all marketing.
Yep.
It's 100% marketing at this point
Yeah.
because there's no other way. Like, I don't feel good. I'm going to take a magic pill that's going to make me feel amazing.
Yep.
And you just show the end result. Like, I feel amazing now. Like, oh, I got to get that pill.
It's the story of was it Herbalife or Herbalife? Remember that? Oh my
Herbalife,
God, yeah.
So you just continue to kind of churn out these things. And
Yep.
what's the difference between one creatine and another creatine? There is some, but like you're talking about creatine from China or you're talking about Creapure. Like
Yep.
there's only like 2 types.
Right.
You know what I mean? So it's either mass made. Actually, no, there's HCL and there's a company that actually is doing it in the United States, creating creatine.
My preference for sure.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
like there are some variants. I'm not gonna. I'm making blanket statements here, of course, but like the supplement industry by far. I don't know if it's regulation, but I just want to see labs. I just want to see the actual test results on some of these
That's
things.
my whole point. It's like why are we racing to put inexpensive things in our bodies?
Yeah, exactly.
It's not just cannabis. It's everything. I'm not
Everything.
trying to die like young.
Yeah.
I'm trying
I
to have a
wonder
good
if there
life.
would you ever consider, now this is just a random idea that popped in my head. I wonder if you could get like lab results for like a Lunchable. Like, you know, like how much, what do you think is actually
man.
in that? Like, hopefully there's safe levels of like, obviously like heavy metals and
How
stuff
much
like that.
arsenic can you actually put in this ham sandwich?
Exactly. So, but I do think about things like that too occasionally because as a family man, of course, I have 3 children. And so like, we're always just like, well, what are we going to eat tonight? And there's always a big discussion about like, okay, let's have this processed food because we're busy and it's just, we don't love doing it, but then also it's the acceptance rate of the children because
Yep.
now they're like, ooh, the salty and the sweet and all this other stuff you get with the
Yep.
processed foods, or their taste buds are adapted to it. And well, how about this nice piece of broccoli? And you're like, nah, I'm not. Yeah, the kids, they're just like, no broccoli for me. I'll take the processed food, thanks. And it's like it hurts, but it's also like the nature of the business right now. And I don't
100%.
necessarily want to ingest tons of processed foods myself either. So,
But it is tasty.
but it is quite tasty. So, anyways, getting back on topic. So the future's here, and it's constantly evolving, whether it's AI or not. You've obviously speculated a little bit about what the future holds. I guess maybe the last kind of follow-up question is going to be around, what do you think people can do today to take steps in order to, I guess, you know, with your expertise, whether it's, you know, SEO or new websites or, you know, integrated Dutchie Plus or Jane Roots or whatever, like, what do you think the biggest kind of like levers that some of these operators should be pulling right now?
I'm going to make a very controversial statement right
Love
now. We are in an SEO bubble with regards to native menus and SEO menus. In the automotive industry, which I'm mentioned a few times here today, every car dealership, whether it's a small mom and pops or Galpin Ford, the #1 Ford dealership on the planet, has a website that has every single product that they have in stock indexable by Google.
Mm-hmm.
And if you Google Shelby Mustang, whatever, in downtown Los Angeles, the chances of a product page showing up for that on Galpin's website are pretty slim. It's about landing pages. It's about good content. This is kind of the crux of my first company dealer teamwork, was creating content that wasn't inherently already there. So all these SEO menus, it's an overbloated solution. It's not a permanent solution. You need to be creating clever, unique, digestible content that's unique to your brand. I mean, I know it sounds like a lot of work because it is. You have to be different. And you cannot differentiate yourself by doing the exact same thing as everybody else. You have to be a nonconformist. So, you know, tell stories. I mean, I say all the time on our sales pitch, nobody goes to the homepage of Walmart to learn about Sam Walton. They go to Wikipedia. But what if there was a place on Walmart that talked about Sam Walton and all the things he did in life? I mean, put the content there. Just don't make it like the focal point of your business strategy. Like, 'cause no one cares about us as the entrepreneur. They care about your product. They care about my product. You know, we have cool stories, and I hope we've shown that here today. But they're not there for that. They're not there to learn about you or me. They're to learn about your product that you developed.
So do you think maybe social media is a good venue for that, or do you think?
I don't think you
that
can have
doesn't
one. You shouldn't have one thing. I think you have to connect everything. It's like omni-channel. It's like the big buzzword everyone is using now. If you're gonna write something, send it out in an email. publish it on social media, send an email blast out, put a blog together, like go and get a syndicated podcast to talk about that. Like you have to make yourself available.
Right.
And you can't rely on just one lever. To answer your question, there is no one lever. You have to have a connected, integrated strategy. Otherwise, you're risking the work you did not being seen by everyone you're trying to impact by it.
And who do they go to get that?
Well, that's the problem.
Is there anybody who's building omni-channel?
They're all trying. They're all trying to.
Is that your company? Do you help with that stuff?
We advise on it. Like we are an e-commerce company that hires people who have worked in dispensaries, much like our customers' dispensaries, who have seen the challenges, had the problems, and found solutions to those problems and challenges. We can advise. You need to have a great CRM product, and not necessarily the one that's tied to your POS. You need to have a good POS. You need to have like the best of everything, and unfortunately, one company rarely can deliver on the best of everything. Like, Microsoft has built a lot of good shit. They also built the phone. Did anyone fucking use it?
Nobody.
They built a social media platform. Did anyone fucking use it?
No.
Like, you can't be the best at everything. Like, HP used to build TVs.
I didn't know that.
HP, I learned that by Simon Sinek. Start with Why. If you have not read that, dude, big thumbs up. It's life-changing. It's perspective-altering about business. Yeah, just because you're able... building a computer screen and building a TV, it's the same thing. Right. But it isn't.
It's also not the same thing.
It's not the same thing.
Yeah.
There's a reason why Apple doesn't build printers. If you go to apple.com and look for a printer, which they do sell. They sell printers.
They sell printers, they don't make them.
They have an HP printer. They have one. If you go on Apple Store, I'm not even an Apple guy. I'm really not. That's something you've made fun of me for in the past as well.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, you definitely made fun of me
I'm
for that.
such an Apple purist in that sense.
That's fine.
Android.
I get it. The blue or... I don't even know what color my text box is.
It's green. It's awful.
Yep. It's fine.
Nobody likes it. Sorry.
But Apple doesn't make printers because you can't make fucking everything and be great at all of it.
Exactly.
They make televisions now and they make programs, but
they're
a media
company.
They're a media company. They've turned the page. They're now a media company.
Right. But I think for a lot of smaller companies like that single store operator that we've hinted at a few times now, like when they're going to listen to this podcast and they're going to say, "Oh, this is such great advice." Where do they do you just at that point do you turn to AI and say like, "Hey, how do I do some of this stuff?" Like, is that your first kind of consultant in that case? Not a bad choice, maybe, but
not a bad idea. The first, listen, I'm not getting paid for this. Listen or read the book Start With Why by Simon Sinek. You have to figure out why people want to buy from you or what makes you different. Because at the end of the day, I've had a million dispensaries tell me, we're going to be the Apple store of cannabis or the Starbucks of cannabis.
And it's going to cost me $10 million to build up the store. And you're like,
aside from the fake reclaimed wood countertops and bullshit aesthetics, you're not Apple. You're not Starbucks. And the reason why is very simple. Apple and Starbucks exclusively sell products made and manufactured or licensed by Apple and Starbucks. You sell Curaleaf. You sell Rise. You sell everyone else's products. In fact, the one thing that you don't do is sell your own products 9 times out of 10. You're more like CVS or Walgreens. So figure out how a customer decides to go to a Walgreens instead of a CVS when they're right across the street from one another with the same red sign and the same white plastic name tags and the same messy aisles, both selling Crest toothpaste for $9.99. You have to figure out why someone should come to you and then convince them that you're the right choice for them.
I love it. Yeah, what makes a person go to Walgreens versus a CVS? Or CVS
and it can't just be they're closer, because that's a losing proposition, because that means that the second someone opens a store slightly closer, you've lost all your customers. Yeah, exactly. You have to be unique.
I love it.
Unique in a way that's attractive to customers.
Fantastic. All right, thank you so much, Dan.
Absolutely.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And that's a wrap.